Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? We are going to start the third week with these extraordinary situations. And yes, we can do it. So let's get started. So for today's, we're going to study how are the different agrarian landscapes. Yeah, great. What everybody was waiting for, right? So as you can see in the book, this section is divided in elements, traditional agrarian landscapes, and developed agrarian landscapes. So in order to explain this, we are gonna open this PowerPoint we have created for you, and we are gonna explain it. So we have to understand that human activity affects landscape. That's why we find three different types of landscape. Number one being rural, which are all non-urban landscapes. Number two being agricultural, so will be land exclusively used for farming. And the last one, agrarian landscapes, and this is the one we are going to study in detail, which will be plots of land where humans live and farming activities are practiced. So, how to analyze agrarian landscapes? We're going to be learning how, just by using a photo, we can analyze an agrarian landscape. So we have to check three different criteria. First is the plot, second is the use of land, and the third one is rural environment. So talking about plot, we are going to study the shape, the size, and its boundaries. Talking about the use of land, we are going to see what type of activities are practiced there. It can either be agriculture or livestock farming. And we have different types of crop if agriculture is being practiced. So we have annual or perennial. We will explain this a bit later. And we have to check also for rural environment. So how are human settlements dispersed or concentrated? Okay, so this is pretty easy. Size of the plot, regular or irregular. You have a couple of photos. This is very clear, right? Talking about size, this is like clothing. S for small, M for medium, large, L, right? So we have small plots, medium-sized plots, and large estates. Talking about boundaries, boundaries are the limits of a plot. We can have open fields, and this means there's nothing between one plot of land and another one, maybe a road, but there's nothing blocking the view from one plot of land to another one. Not like in the case of the closed fields or bocage. In this case, we will have a visual barrier. So we can have a fence, we can have a wall, we can have trees, okay? And those fences, walls, or trees are dividing one plot from another one. So talking about the use of land, we can use a land for cultivating, so agriculture, or for animal rearing, so livestock farming. If we talk about livestock farming, most of the land is gonna be called meadow. Meadow will be that piece of land where animals walk and graze and manure the land, okay? But if we talk about agriculture being practiced in one plot of land, we have to distinguish what type of crop they are cultivating. It can be annual or herbaceous. So we have cereals, barley, wheat, oats, rice. Well, remember your Kahoot? I have to check who was actually the winner. Or woody. So we have trees. It can be olive trees, fruit trees, vineyard, or trees used for silviculture, so forestry. But you know, woody. Fine, talking about rural environment, the book mentions just the two first ones, concentrated and dispersed. So concentrated is when all the houses are packed together, and dispersed we have one house and another house and another house, and they're far from each other. Or we have the interspersed settlement, so we have a combination of both the two first ones. Okay, talking about different types of agrarian landscape, we will have traditional or developed. So we have 3 examples in traditional and another 3 for developed. Let's go one by one. So in traditional, one of the first landscape we find is shifting cultivation or slash and burn farming. So in this case, human communities are small and they are nomadic because they need to move from one place to another one. This type of landscape is produced in areas with very dense vegetation, and they also practice livestock farming, extensive though. So basically these techniques is about cutting trees, burning those trees, and uses the ashes produced by the fire to fertilize the soil so they can cultivate later. Eventually, soil is going to be exhausted. After 2-3 years, this community has to move and repeat the process somewhere else. Then we have the landscape produced by extensive dry farming. This is pretty similar to the system, the crop rotation system we study from the medieval times. Do you remember? We have Margarita in the fallow land, manuring. So that land is not gonna be exhausted because it's being fertilized, and they are using natural fertilizers. So they will be rotating this system. They will be cultivating some plots of land while another one is resting, and they can, keep on with these techniques as long as they want. That's why human settlement is permanent and it is concentrated. That's why there's a combination of agriculture and livestock farming in this case. And the last one for traditional agrarian landscapes, we have the monsoon-based agriculture landscape or paddy fields. Paddy fields are rice fields, and we find this in especially Southeast Asia. We have paddy fields in deltas. Well, you can think about Delta Nebro, del Ebro, and the area of Valencia where we also have paddy fields. Or you can find it in terraces created on mountains, like a huge steps going down the hill. They use irrigation systems because they need to flood the whole area, and human communities are concentrated. Livestock farming is also practiced extensively. Talking about developed agrarian landscapes, we need to have in mind that these are huge plots of land owned by multinationals, and they only cultivate one type of crop. And this crop is always exported to developed countries. This type of plantation happens in areas, for example, in Africa, but the crop is always sold to Europe or the United States, Canada. Human settlements here are dispersed or concentrated, and livestock farming is not relevant. So next one is the landscape produced by extensive agriculture, where we have large estates in general, and they're mainly regular and open. The type of crops is very heterogeneous. It can be cereals, can be industrial crops, so modified by humans, or it can be fruit trees. They can use dry or irrigation crop farming. Human settlement is mainly dispersed, and extensive livestock farming is very common. Finally, we have the mechanized Mediterranean agriculture landscape, where we find basically everything, large estates or small ones, but mainly irregular. open or closed fields, dry or irrigation crop farming. Fallow is practice, so our Margarita will be also here. Human settlement are concentrated or dispersed, and livestock farming is extensive. So, this has been all. I hope you have the ideas very clear. I hope you don't have questions, but if you do so, please do not hesitate and send an email to Estela and I, and we will be happy to answer you. Have a great day. Bye.